Hey, Master Maine Guide, Hal Blood here, and today we're going to talk about scouting for deer on a map. That'll get you started. It'll save you a lot of legwork in the woods. You'll still have to go in the woods, but you can find out some good possibilities and then physically go in and scout. I like to use the USGS topographical map. They're pretty detailed, and I start with those. The only thing you'll have to remember about these maps is the last time they were updated was in the late 80s. So you'll see some roads on them, but there may be new roads as well. But you can find that out when you drive into the territory and you look, and you can actually pencil in any new roads that are built, or there may actually be a road that shows as a road and it's completely gone. It's been, 30 years maybe since a map was updated. So just keep that in mind. But the terrain's the same, the water's gonna be pretty much the same. There might be some extra beaver flowages or whatever. What I like to do anytime I scout for the day, I usually go for the day. Pick a big area, because you can go in and it's not like hunting in suburban or rural areas. You're hunting on a 40-acre woodlot. You gotta cover miles. And there might be, you might have to walk a couple miles to get into where there is some deer. So I just plan on going for the day, and I'll look around my map, kind of look at some features, and I'll show you, and then I'll just pick a route that I'm gonna kind of go. Now that route might change. When I get in the woods, I might find an area that's logged off or whatever. Doesn't mean it isn't any good, but it might change the way I move. Or I might find the woods, I don't like the type of woods it's in, so I veer off. But basically, I wanna go some kind of a circle for the day. So down in here, there's roads. There's a stream down in here, and there's some roads that go up through the double dotted line roads. They may still be roads, they might have been fixed up. But the things I look for, over in my country, there's mountains, knobs, ridges. You might have a place you hunt that's a little flatter and it's like rolling hills and ridges. It doesn't matter. You can still do it the same way. I always kind of look at the different high elevation points, kind of get an overview of that. Here there's a couple of ponds. Ponds kind of funnel deer around them different ways. And then I look at the water. And the water coming out of these mountains, the main ones that are in blue, the streams that run down, usually you can tell by the contour lines how fast the water's moving. The closer the lines are together, the closer the contour, the steeper it is. And the ones that are fast moving, you're not gonna find your brown ash around those too much, because the water just moves too fast. So, but I keep that in mind. I might move up a stream, because there's certain places, especially on bigger streams, that deer particularly cross in certain places. So I might want to find those. So I could take this stream up here in this valley between these knobs, because there's going to be deer. If there's deer there, they'll cross between them. And then what I like to do when even though you get high up, it doesn't mean there won't be brown ash there. There's brown ash can be anywhere in the mountains or whatever. But what I look for is, like, if I come up here, for example, it's kind of some steep ground from the beginning. So up along this road, it's kind of steep ground. Now this road, like I said, I might be able to drive up here, which would be good. And then it shows the road goes to here. But up in here, these contour lines, they widen out. What that means is this is a little more flatter going with these contour lines. And those are the places I can see a little old beaver flow in here, a swamp or something, which is designated by, it looks like a tuft of grass. It's a symbol for a tuft of grass there. And that means it's wet. So it'll be probably in here, since it's green, it's gonna be like a sprucey or a cedary bog there. And then there's another little knob here that's kind of the same way, a little spot. And if you get over here and you look, there's some of the same grass tufts, but the white on a map, the green on a map, on a topo map, is forested. When you see the blue is obviously water, and then you see some white areas, White areas are open areas, like no vegetation. I mean vegetation, grass, no trees. So those you can already tell, if you see the white on the map, they're usually old beaver flowages, where the beaver, and they may be built back again over the years. They come and go. And I like to look at those places because deer and bucks seem to favor around there. They're an opening and there's feed around them and stuff. So I might look at those. So anyways, I'm up here and it's flatter here. That's going to tend to be if the deer are traveling from these one knob to the next, they're typically going to go across the flat to get up through. And then, so I'm going to look, when I get up here a little bit more, I see another swamp. This is where I'm going to start looking up in here, see if there's any brown ash. This might be too high. When we're getting up here, this mountain here is 3,100 feet. It's not going to be up there. It's going to be all thick spruce and stuff. But then also, I have another, when I come up here, there's different streams that run up here. And they might just be trickle streams. And the ones that come down out of these steeper ground, there's not going to be brown ash there. It's going to be down where these widen out here again. But then there's the other ones, like if I come over here and I hunt along here, it's steep, and then all of a sudden you get up in a place like this and it starts to flatten out. So all the water and trickles are not on a map, but any place you see, right here, you see these contour lines make a V. Might be a U, but a V. That's where water runs. That's a depression valley down out of the top. And once that water comes down out of the mountains are all full of water. When it leaks out, or it flattens out down in here, you may get that, it spreads out and the ground is wet. These are the places you're more likely to find your brown ash, and then you can look for signposts. So there's quite a few of them. If you went along this ridge, you could just hunt. I'd come along. I don't like run right up into the top of the mountains. I want to find where the bucks are coming and going. So I'm going to come around this edge, where on the edge, and this is probably right here, a transition zone where it comes from the steep to where it starts to level off. This, because it's a high mountain, I know this is probably all spruce and fir, green growth up in here. And then when it gets down in here, it's going to transition probably into some mixed growth and continue on down through. On the lower mountains, it could be steep, and it could be hardwood ridges too. So, but we don't know that till we get there. So that's why we got to look, and we kind of pick a route first, and then we're going to go in the woods physically, and we got to see what kind of trees. We'll find the transition zones, and we'll find where we possibly might find some brown ash rubs, signposts, and transition zones where the bucks are traveling. So if I was going to start here, I'm really not going to go into these high mountains because there's going to be very few deer live up there. Now, a big buck's going to go up there, yes, and stuff, but to find one, it's a needle in a haystack on bare ground. Save that for if you get track and snow when you pick up a track coming or going. I'm going to hunt more down where these knobs are, along these streams and trickles. And so I would probably take, like, there's a main stream here, it's going to be big. And right in here, there's a lot of this real bluffy, not high, it's kind of flattish, but it's irregular ground. And I can see water coming out of here. There's going to be water leaking here. These pockets here, I look for these flatter pockets. Here, maybe up in here, down here towards this pond, this low ground. Over here, you can see this drops off of this ridge. Down in here, that's going to end up having water in it somewhere, and it might be a cedar bog, a spruce bog, and it might have brown ash in it. Same way over here, we come down off the big mountain, there's streams coming down, and there's more that you can't, that these have got the blue lines, but a lot of them don't. And then it comes down in here and flattens out. There's a little stream that's flat. I see some bogs here. So basically what I would do in here, because this stream is probably one you're not going to really get across. So if I was going to hunt this up, I'd probably I'd zigzag. I'm not going to just go a straight line. I'd probably zigzag my way up here, maybe go up this stream a little bit, cut around here, keep going, get up in here. I'm gaining elevation all the time. Work my way around. I may actually go like through a gap here and come around this mountain. I might do it that way if I was planning on a big day and I could come through this gap and come back here. Or I might just come up here, work my way around where this water comes down out of the mountain, come down this valley, check some of this, get over here, drop down, come through here. But I'm going to check all these places, work my way down, maybe come down into here. There's a lot of bog area here with knobs around it. To me, should be good in here, all these knobby spots. Bound to be hardwoods and softwoods on the top. A lot of wet places. I'm surely there's going to be brown ash in this corner here. But that's what I do. I just make kind of a big circle for the day and then see what I find. And again, I follow the sign. Once I start and I get into some sign, then I don't worry about keeping on my course. I let the deer take me where they're traveling. And whether it be the transition zones or if I find some signposts, I want to figure out maybe where they're coming and going from them. And that's really all it is. And then once you get that figured out, hey, I want to try this and go scout this, that's going to be one day of scouting for you, whether it's in the spring or the fall, or it might be just you don't have a lot of extra time, so it might just be a deer hunt for you that day. I always call it still hunting / scouting, so you might make it that. And then you just get in there and see what's happening. You might find some good cuts. It's holding a lot of does. Bucks are going to be coming to them. And you get your onX. If you got onX, if you don't, probably a good idea to get it because that's a valuable tool now. We didn't have that back in the old days. I always had the map in my pack, and I'd take it out and try to figure out where I was by the water I crossed. But with the onX, it's a good tool to do this with. And then you mark certain things. You find a place, you find a signpost, you mark it. Maybe you find a transition zone, you mark like a corridor where you see they're traveling. You could use the feature that you could lay down a track in that. And then you put that all on your onX, whatever you found in that way, and then you have it. Then you can go back, and if you're just scouting, then if you like the sign, you already figured out most likely where some deer are traveling, where the bucks are making some sign, and then you expand on it. You go hunt there, and every day you go, this is such a big area that every time you go, you might take a different route. You find another way that you might see some deer tracks are going, and that's how you learn an area. It's that simple, but start with your topo map, because that's going to save you a lot of driving around. I know people want to go drive around and they look off at the mountains. That's not a very good way to scout. It's not very efficient because you can do a lot of walking without knowing what you're getting yourself into just by looking around. So anyway, that's it. Scout on a map first, get in the woods, figure out what the woods look like, find some good sign, and get after them bucks.